In 1974, the first tabletop role-playing game was created. Since then, people from all around have gathered to play. Join me as we talk with RPG enthusiasts while they share their best, worst, and favorite moments. This is You Had to Be There.
Hey everyone, welcome to You Had to Be There, a D&D storytelling podcast. Before we get started, just to always let you know, my awesome music for my intro was created by Michael James McGarry. You can follow him on It's MJ Made on Instagram or It's MJ Music on SoundCloud. And then my logo for my intro was created by Nicole Summers from the Reliably Chaotic Podcast. She plays Piper in this awesome story with original characters and all that great stuff. And always, if you want to be on the show, you just follow us here on Twitch or wherever you get your podcast, and send me an email to youhadtobethere@gmail.com, and that's D&D with the 3 letters. But that'll bring me to my guest today, is Bella Solis. Hi, Bella.
Hi, Tom.
Hi. When did you, let's just get right to it. That's how kind of we do it at the You Had to Be There podcast. How long have you been a D&D player, RPG player?
So, I count this by being a successful player, meaning
Okay.
that I've actually played more than 1 or 2 off sessions.
Right.
It's honestly as of as you say, COVID baby player.
Gotcha.
I've come out of the pandemic essentially.
Yeah, I mean that's
not long.
A lot of us kind of have been like that, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So did you play a couple times before the pandemic, and then that's
Yeah.
What was
So
that?
I've dabbled
what was that
it.
like when you dabbled? How was that kind of like? What was it like for you when you dabbled? Because I did that too. To be honest, I did dabble a
Right.
couple times, but what did you do? Like, what was your dabbling like?
So my dabbling was during my high school period where I really enjoy fantasy-based games. Oh, hold on.
Right.
Excuse
Bless you.
me. Allergy season, man.
You're good. You're good.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I started off in high school, and it was just off and on players that were like, hey, have you ever heard of Dungeons and Dragons? Do you
Right.
want to try it? Because people get together, you're friends a long time, and then
Mhm.
you run out of games to play. So you're like, why not?
Right.
And we gave it a shot, and we just never were like, oh, how does this work? Do we really want to keep doing this? Since none of us were ever veteran players, no one really took charge. And so
Okay.
it kind of just died off,
Right. Yeah, that gets tough.
Yeah.
So
So
then
I
after
really don't.
died off, then who took the initiative then when it was pandemic time and this game? A lot of people caught the bug, and
Right.
I don't mean COVID, I mean the D&D bug.
Yeah.
So
Vaccinate.
what was that like? Who took initiative for your group then at that point?
So I have a friend of a friend. She plays WoW, and one of her guild members was just like, hey, I'm bored. I'm going to start a D&D party.
Right.
And then I've had another longtime friend that has had a D&D campaign floating about, but things happened in the party, and he just wanted to get new players in.
I got you.
And I was like, I got time. I'll do it.
Everybody had time. That was the best part.
Exactly.
Nice. So who ran that first game? Was it?
So I actually have both campaigns still going.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right.
My characters haven't died yet, so
That's
I'm
good.
very happy.
So you had 2 campaigns going with those different people.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
very cool. Very cool. So then
Yeah.
you started out. What were your 2 first characters that kind of that you went for?
So the first one is a Tiefling Ranger.
Okay.
And we updated with Tasha's Cauldron. So
Okay.
I ended up picking Feywild as the
Feywild, yeah.
the offshoot of Ranger.
Nice.
And for my other campaign, I ended up being a wizard barbarian. That was my Dampire.
A wizard barbarian.
Yeah.
So, I want to circle back to that, but just out of curiosity, because my first character was also a ranger, and the
Right.
ranger gets a lot of shit. But I
hear that.
I love the ranger. Yeah, so
I don't know, man. Like, I ended up my starting off, like, we literally started from like 0 and up. I ended up
Right.
using a bow with like +7, like
Oh,
on
Jesus.
everything. Just like out the gate, like just fixing all of like my
Oh,
feats
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
abilities
yeah.
and stuff. So like when I actually got like better weapons along the way, like now I'm at a +11 and I'm only a level 5, I think.
yeah, people, I think that there's some underpower to it, but like I really enjoy it. And then also the combination of like ranged versus also the survival like aspect of it is super helpful. I mean, I get it if you're like
Right.
if you're like in like a dungeon where everything's stone and stuff, you're kind of inhibited a little bit. But
Yeah.
like the combination of things you can do with like I love spike growth is like my favorite spell ever. And you're just like
Yeah.
just boom, just like cover the whole plant. And then obviously Hunter's Mark is great and Hail of Thorns is great too. I've
Oh, Hail Thorns
just
is my go-to.
wreaked havoc. And you upcast that, like once you can upcast that to higher levels, like it gets real scary. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that like someone else really enjoys their ranger, because like I really enjoy my ranger. And I just
Right.
everyone was like, just play fighter with a bow. I'm like, yeah, but it's not the same.
Yeah,
So
it's not, you
um
know.
nice. And then so what level are you at now with that ranger?
Level 5.
Okay, level
So
5.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
level
do
5.
hard grinding for this,
Oh,
but
level
it's
5
worth
is
it.
when it gets real good. And then you took Feywild. I don't know what happened with the Feywild boosts get after that, but I think you get something cool at 7 and kind of I think 7 and 8 you get some cool stuff being a ranger.
Yeah.
Nice. So did you so then now this wizard barbarian, how did you
Right.
work that out? Because that sounds like some something I would also try and do, just something crazy like that. So where'd you start with that?
Okay. So I started off with it's a homebrew campaign first
Okay,
off.
yeah.
My friend, he has like all the resources on D&D Beyond, and he was just like he loves giving everyone the opportunity to
Right.
do whatever they want as much as they can, you know,
Okay.
and I think that's really cool.
Absolutely.
And he was like, this is going to be a one shot just to test out all the new players. And I think we started off at like level 10 or something, like something
Oh, shit.
really high. Yeah, like we weren't expecting,
Oh,
you
man.
know,
How far,
to
just
more
out
or
of
less
curiosity,
survive
was
this.
this was your second group then after you started your first group?
So they kind of started simultaneously. So it's like group A and group B. This is group B.
So just to for me perspective wise, you had someone just go, "Hey, we're going to start D&D, start with a level 1 character." And then someone was like, "We're going to play D&D with a bunch of new people to play test." And they said, "Make level 10 characters."
Yeah, they're just like, all right, have fun.
Oh
Like
my
if you're gonna do
God.
this, you're gonna just have the ability to do things.
That's like
Well-
so difficult though. That's such a tough thing to ask for someone, because the game just changes so much. Even at level 5,
Yeah.
like it just, there's so much you have to think about at that point. You got to remember you have your reactions and all these crazy stuff you
Right.
can do. So kudos to anyone who starts off at level 10. All right, so
Yeah. Yeah.
so go ahead.
So when I say new players, not specifically like we're green players, we're just new playing with each other.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's like it wasn't so crazy. We're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, yeah, we still had questions because we also went for characters that we haven't done, especially at that level, because it's
Right.
like it's hard to get up there, you know.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I took a level for I basically was maining as a wizard, and then I took a level as a barbarian
Okay.
just to get some nice little beef up in my
Just a little
weaponry.
beef. Right.
Because wizards are squishy, so
Yeah,
I
guess.
didn't want to like die. Like I was like, great, I have all this power, but if something touches me, I'm screwed.
But did you go up to level 10?
No,
Which,
we just started out at
No,
level
I'm
10.
saying, but like, so it was only one level barbarian? So level 9?
I think it was half and half.
Oh, half and half. Okay, so that's actually pretty dirty. Like that means you have
I got lucky with like my
multi-attack
initial
and
roll.
Fireball.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm not fire resistant, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, well, you can multi-attack, and then if they're at a distance, you just... What kind of a race did you pick for that?
I'm a vampire, so I'm a day-walking vampire.
Okay, all right, so
It's,
that's more of a homebrewy
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay, that's really cool. So day-walking vampire, wizard, barbarian. How did you do anything like incorporate the two classes together? Like take certain spells to like beef yourself? Like I don't know. I'm curious on like.
So there is a specific feature that I really like that I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a character based off of it. And it was called Willing Deformity or Madness.
Okay.
And essentially it's advantage against like wisdom saving throws and pulling up the thing now.
Yeah.
It gives you a bonus to wisdom on saving throws, and it also like serves as a reaction, and it like helps you against like psychic attacks and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, like I think I could work with that. I want a crazy character that's like lucid for like these few moments in battle and just like go for it. And so and my wizard is a war mage. So, like, I mean, everything like happen on the battlefield. He's crazy old and like he's just, out of his mind. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this character.
Especially with a vampire like just being old and stuff. What kind of barbarian did you pick? Just out of curiosity, because
I think it was just something simple.
Berserker maybe, or
the Path of the Juggernaut.
Juggernaut. I don't even know that. Is this 5th edition or is this something else?
No, this is 5e.
It is 5e. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to look at that one. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one. That's crazy though. I guess. Oh, because you said they have all your DM for this is the one that has all the expansions.
Yeah. So he really just loves giving as much of an advantage as his players can get.
Does he also like, because he gives you the advantage? Like, what's the combat like? Is it very combat heavy? Is it super crazy?
So it's not super combat heavy, but when it hits, it's like you should stop hitting it now because you're going to die. And I'm like, okay.
So it's more of like almost like a Call of Cthulhu kind of deal where you're just like, you don't really fight, you mostly run. Is that where you're at?
Well, specifically with Kailyn, that campaign ended in 3 sessions. That's how quick it went. Yeah, that was super fast.
So that one was actually a one-shot. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm with the same DM.
Okay.
And we're in the same world. We're just in a different part of that world with new characters.
Did all your characters die? Is that why that campaign ended, or?
So here's the thing. I've never died, but I've never gotten an ending for that campaign. So it's just like, did I really die? Did I really win?
How did it end then?
All right. So the hook of the story was that we all were on this like Hunger Game island where like we had to fight for glory essentially.
Okay.
Which is cool. Like we could totally do that. And we ended up fighting 2 other players that were fighting against us, and like, we're teens essentially.
Okay. And
somewhere along the way we're just like, okay, these 2 baddies aren't dying. Like, what the heck is up with everyone's individualistic decisions? Because we weren't on each other's side particularly. We just all showed up, and we started attacking each other all of a sudden. And we're just like, all right, I guess we're just going to decide who the winner is then. And real life ended up happening, and some of the players had to bail out because of like work and jobs and stuff, and we just never got to the point where it was like the last 2 of us. It was me and one other girl,
right? And
we were supposed to have a session. I was like, yeah, I got all my spells ready, I like upped my weapons, I'm ready for this. And then she's like, yeah, I can't make it. And then we're just like, okay, I guess campaign's done, you won. And I was like, what? I didn't win though. Like I didn't get the glory, the story.
That's bittersweet. That's not the same. It's not the same at all. Yeah,
Right.
I got you.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it was
you
just
want
like,
that. You want the W for sure, especially if you're doing a battle royale. That's cool. I've never done like a battle royale before, kind of
right.
situation. Have you done another one since then, or was that your only
I
time?
have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done when I dabbled in high school, we did a few battle royals, but nothing
Okay.
remarkable. The most remarkable, I guess, battle royale is one I set up. I actually DM'd and did a one shot,
Hell yeah.
and it was a battle royale.
Okay.
So, Group A of the other campaign that I'm in, the DM does her own story. Her name's Sarah, and she DMs all the time, so she likes to give us a break. And she's like, "Does somebody want to take a turn DMing?" And essentially, in that group, we all take turns once a month. So like, she has a break, and like she can get the story together and stuff. Yeah, which is really cool because it also gives us like experiences outside of just being players. And like now, like I have more of appreciation for like people who have DM'd forever. Like I've listened to a few of your podcasts and they're like, yeah, just straight up DMing. I'm like, good job, guys. Like don't have that creativity.
Crazy stamina for that. I'm like, every once in a while, like once a month, I'll DM a game now is kind of what I'm doing. And like, I'm like, this is great, but it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Especially if you want like a consecutive story happening too.
Yeah. And some like my DM, Nicole, who was on the podcast, she had the Heat Metal episode. She will like if someone can't make it, she just has another campaign like ready to. I don't know what it is. I'm always like, you sure? And she's like, oh, I'll figure something out. And like, she's savage. So now she has like 6 stories going at one time. So some people are just born and bred for this, where they just have untappable writing capabilities, and it's so impressive. But you got to do one, and you did. Do you all do battle royales, or that was just your choice to do?
No, that was just my choice.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'll get into the other one shots later for the other party members. But for my one shot, I actually ended up using Kailyn as the big baddie.
Okay.
And it was an earlier period in his lifetime where he was running. Kailyn is the Dampire, the wizard barbarian.
All right, I just didn't know his name. So, all right, cool. That's cool. Yeah. So you brought in your.
I was just like, I'm going to give this guy a life.
I mean, that makes sense because he's been around forever. So like, yeah, crazy. Okay, so you bring in your wizard barbarian.
And
to be the big bad.
He's like, yeah, essentially you're gonna fight for glory and whatnot. And I wanted to include something that like I guess motivated everyone. So I got it approved with my DM, and I was able to give away prizes to the players, so like that it would carry over into the main campaign.
Oh, okay.
So that like they're like, yeah, you have some little token to remember this by. And so Kailyn brings in these new players, and my biggest thing was to work on using the map, the arena itself, like going by like height and distance and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I was using Roll20, and like how it gives you the measuring and whatnot, and I was just getting used to like letting players move themselves,
right?
Because I'm not very tech savvy, as you know from the intro.
No, it's fine.
But
do you like so like I have played a little bit on Roll20 with someone, but I haven't really used it. Did you find it to be pretty user friendly? Because I know a couple people who use it. Yeah. Like
I started straight up. I just got a map off of Google Images. Not even gonna lie, and I just threw that on there, and I made small tokens or some pre-made tokens, and people were like, because there's a game master level and then a level where everyone's open to moving their stuff.
Right.
So on the game master level, like I put like towers, I put dragons, like I put my effects for the arena. And at the top of every round, I would flip a coin, like yes or no, essentially, if Kailyn would participate. And if he participated, he would be able to do a surge of magic to one of the towers, and it would affect the area like going from 10 feet to like 50 feet, depending on the D4.
That's awesome, because that was actually going to be one of my questions, is like, because you think like DMing a battle royale, like you have to spice it up in some way, because otherwise you're just like, yeah, I don't know, just roll your dice and stuff, and I'm just going to grab a beer, I guess, because like otherwise there's no actual DM participation other than, I guess, kind of refereeing rules. But that's awesome. That's a great, like, cool way to do it, is incorporate these like hazards in the battlefield. All right. So like, what were some of the wild, like, the magic surges? What did you use?
So one tower was a thunder tower, and it would push all the players back like 10 feet. They would take like, I don't know, 2d8s of damage.
All right.
I just pulled like from random spells with the same element and just kind of toned it down a little, because my goal is not to kill the players themselves. Like, it's for them to duke it out.
They're hazards. They're not like they're you know, just a little annoyance here or there.
Right. Yeah. Like, I had two bodyguard dragons just chilling out outside the arena. I was like, you could try to run.
Oh yeah, that's
but they'll
smart.
kill you.
That's funny, because like you could have just sealed it off, but like instead you were like, no, I'll give you a way out, but I'm gonna put two dragons there. That's fucking great. Well done. That is really that's really funny.
Sometimes they yawn and there'd just be like a little spew of like Agarus Scorcher, and it's just like, you might get some damage.
It reminds me of Holes when he's like, you see any fences around here?
Yeah, I was fully prepared for them to try and fight me, and then I just like, I looked at my guy and I looked at their guy, and I was just like, no.
What level were they?
They were level 6, so they got a little fun. But I kept them all to only martial class fighters, because a lot of people want to go for like the spicy stuff, which is not bad, but I feel like if we round out like every class, like it'd make us just better players in general, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for a battle royale, it kind of makes sense for a martial class. Were they allowed half casters or only?
No, it was straight up fighters.
So it was fighters, monks,
like,
and rogues?
we're so used to monks count.
Okay.
So do barbarians, but
barbarians too.
They weren't like high enough where like they could cast something and it'd be crazy.
Right.
Yeah, because we love our spells. We have a lot of casters in our actual party, so I was just like, let's change the pace.
Gotcha.
Because if not, they're just gonna like stand 50 feet away at all times, and then like, oh, there goes my map.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways. The casters can be very dangerous, but also like, casters only dangerous until the barbarian gets his hands on or her hands on them. You know, it's like it is what it is, but it's also like, I don't know, like the page that I took from my first guest Peter, from playing with him, is like, if you're playing a strong character, just grapple the caster. It's the easiest thing to do all the time. And will never, if I have a good athletics and there's a caster that's a bad person, like bad guy, I will 100% grapple it from here on out, because it's the dumbest thing ever, because then they're basically rendered useless unless they have like Misty Step. But like,
that's exactly why I wanted to be Wizard Barbarian, because I was just like, don't touch me. You're going to try and touch me, and there you go.
Even that, all right, so you Misty Stepped 30 feet away. Guess what? That Barbarian's got 45 feet of movement. Like, I don't know, you know, it is what it is. So, but that's awesome. So how did it go then? So you have your dragons, your Barbarian, Wizard. How did it all play out?
It didn't go as quickly as I thought it would. I mean, not that I wanted it to be like, hey, we're done, 1, 2, 3, but it was more like I realized I had to fill in too, and like that's why I gave myself a turn, so I just kept them motivated. I also had like an assorted chests on the map as well, so that like one was like one was like nothing. Another one was like a healing potion. Another one was like a narcotic like potion where you had resistance, and like one of the towers did that. So I gave everyone like little edges on top of everything as well. Our DM, or our most experienced player, actually ended up getting second place by like literally 1 health point. Like our bard ended up winning the whole thing, and she got a bag of holding. In our main campaign, she's a bard.
Oh,
but
okay.
I forgot what she was. Yes, I forgot what she was in my one shot essentially. Good. But she ended up winning with like literally 1 health point, and she's like, "I'm never doing this again. Like, I can't. I would just want to sing."
It's got to be so stressful. I haven't done it yet. It sounds fun, but it also sounds stressful because you're like, I don't have to kill everyone.
Yeah.
Nice. So that was your first time DMing?
Yeah, like with serious players, I want to say, because I tried DMing in high school too, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not ready for it.
I mean, it sounds like you did a really good. I was like a total wimp about DMing my first time. I'm like, I'm gonna buy a module, and it's gonna be the easiest module I can run. So that's like really cool. I'm really impressed on all the cool stuff you thought of. I'm jealous. I wish I thought of some of that cool stuff.
Yeah, map traps are like a really big thing for like up and coming DMers. Like you should really just allow the area to have effects as well, so you don't feel like you always have to drive everything. Like, oh hey, that tree, it's magical. It's just like spewing fire at you. Good luck. Like,
no, it makes sense. Traps. I gotta think about to incorporate like more traps and puzzles into the games that I've been kind of running. So definitely been learning a lot on that front. So you have do you know what you're gonna do for your next when it's your turn again?
Nope, no idea.
That's fine. I mean, you got some time, so you said once a month someone takes over?
Once a month someone takes over. We have, not all of them are one-shots. The other players that have DM'd have their campaigns where we're still alive, but like we just ended on a note where like if we continue or not, either way we're good.
Right.
One of them we defeated a kraken, and then we like ended up not drowning in the middle of the ocean because someone rolled wild magic and got a unicorn, and we just like had a mile left to shore, and we're like, made it, we nailed it.
That's awesome.
We live.
I love the wild magic. That happened in one of our, actually on the final boss in our main campaign, which we haven't like done the tie-up ends yet, but I used like an inspiration from the Traveler, and my DM rolled the wild magic table, and we ended up getting a unicorn to help us fight the main boss. So it ended up working really badly in his favor, unfortunately. which is not what's supposed to happen when you mess with the Traveler. So like it's hilarious. So you use the unicorn to fight the kraken?
No, we just bolted from the ocean to shore, so we didn't drown.
Gotcha.
Because nice. We got the kraken on the last turn, and he's like, all right, well, now our boat's sinking. We're still out here. Oh,
that's true. Yeah. Because even if you win against a kraken, you kind of also are going to lose because the boat's going down. I guess is that kind of what happened?
Essentially, yeah. We're like, hurrah, we did it, but did we win?
Yeah.
And I guess the second like spin-off campaign, it was a really cool concept. We had to take a video game we last played, and we had to create characters as that video game character.
Nice.
And we were as ourselves, but we had to live their consequences by going through the levels of hell. So like everything you normally do as a video game character, you're like, yeah, I'm just going to kill that person because I can. You now had to suffer for it in this campaign.
Oh,
so we would go through judgments and all that. And the last video game that I completed was God of War.
Okay.
So I ended up creating a barbarian with the path of berserker.
Okay.
Just to mimic Kratos, essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I ended up naming him Yob.
Yob?
Spelled Y-O-B. Because all he says in that game is, boy, come here.
Oh, in the video game he says, boy, come here. Got you. Yeah. So you named him Yob, or boy. Okay. Yeah.
And we're started off very small level 3, nothing crazy. But we freed Satan. That was our goal. Like he was just frozen there in the ice, and we're like, we're just going to free Satan. And then she's like, starts panicking. She's like, all right, so the session ends here. We'll get back to it next month.
That's funny. That's the panic always there, and something terribly wrong happens. You're like, oh, I didn't know to end this session now and figure out what to do. Oh man. Well, that's hilarious. Oh man, I want to hear. I'm gonna hear about what happens with that.
I'm so excited to see if we actually get to free Satan, though.
Are your characters? Is everyone in the party inherently like chaotic evil or anything like that? That was just
no, we're playing as like our real selves in these video games.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just like I don't really know if we're good people or not because we're now freeing Satan just because we can. Like,
I guess when the opportunity permits itself, you never know. Sometimes maybe we all would end up freeing Satan in the end.
Well, I mean, we want to get out of hell, and I'm sure he does too.
It's true. Nice. So you've been playing for? I mean, I guess it's been like a year and a half now. So just playing multiple games a week or monthly games, and just throwing it out there. Did you what so far? So you've only really had a few characters though, which is pretty good. Is that true? Like you've had just a few the 2 or 3 characters you've made?
Yes. So the campaign B, the one that had the wizard barbarian that ended.
Right.
That same DM started a new campaign.
Right.
And I'm still currently playing that campaign. So
what are
this
you
would
playing in
technically
that one?
That one is also a homebrew, but I'm doing right now a druid warlock, and my race is a Spinoff. So basically, it's a Phoenix person.
Nice. Okay. So there's a lot of homebrewing in the games. That's really cool. I have like homebrewing to me, like I've done a little bit with like the campaign setting, but messing with the rules, I'm like not comfortable with. I'm like, but I don't want to do it wrong. But that's really cool that they have the ability to do that. And then how long have you been doing that one for then now?
This one, I want to say is like a month short of the campaign A, just because we had that one shot, and he was like, okay, I like these players, let's start something real.
Nice.
And his whole world is homebrewed. Actually, it was him and 2 other friends that started it, and it just happened to be his turn on the world, and they created like a whole lore with the god-based system and everything. Like I believe in the god of luck. Don't ask me to say the names because I don't know them all. How do you not know all the gods in D&D? You know, it's I don't even think I can name all the gods that exist in our current world in real life. I don't even think there's only like 6 of them, but I can't name them all. So then, this time, like, do you have any favorite kind of fun stories that you want to share for the folks at home? You got like, I think the most thrilling story from this campaign actually happened like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And
which one is it? Is this A or is this the one that you've been playing?
Campaign B.
B. Okay.
Campaign B. So this is.
This is the one that you just...
My Phoenix person.
The Phoenix person. All right. Cool.
Yeah. Druid Warlock.
What's their name?
Asahi.
Asahi.
It's Japanese, and I tried so hard to learn how to spell this name properly with kanjis, which is the Japanese alphabet.
Gotcha.
And I literally tried for 3 hours on this name, and it just didn't come up. And I just ended up using a Google search thing. But further in the story, I end up getting an owlbear as a pet. And my DM's like, congrats, like you found an owlbear. And I was like, great. He's like, what are you going to name him? And I was just like, fuck it. His name's Jason.
Jason. Okay. So
yep. Spent 3 hours on my name, but I just was just like, all right, first name.
Jason. I feel like that's what happens with pets. I don't know. I feel like
yeah,
I have a name.
You just
my ranger had a
whatever.
Squirrel, and I was like, I don't know. His name's George. That's his name now. And like his name's George the Squirrel, and that's the way it works.
The most common.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy, you know. All right, so Asahi has an owl bear named Jason. Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, so we started off day drinking. They found a bottle on like this random scourge. I had to skip the prior meeting just because of like life events.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought it back to our main base. And our main base is basically this giant treehouse on this new world map. And I grew it out of like a spire seed. And I've been like cultivating it as a druid, and it's just huge, homebrewed, 30 floors. Like I have a Dryad to help me keep up with it.
Very cool.
Yeah, I actually named this place the Altar of Atlas.
Okay.
And it's like the first like tavern inn on this planet out of a tree.
Very cool.
So.
That's awesome. I love that. Actually, so my last guest, Brian, who has the Reliably Chaotic podcast, in his world there is a it's like, I think it's the tavern or the inn, I think one of those two in the world is run by the Dryads, and they kind of like, it's cool because they can like go through the wood, so essentially like to help some, you know, they're like, oh, I'll pop into your room, and then they just end up through the wood into the room. So it's like, it makes sense that you would actually have, it's just kind of, I saw the connection there, and that's cool.
Yeah,
that you have that. Makes sense.
I need the help. 30 floors is a lot.
You're just becoming a contractor now in your
that's kind of like on our off time. Like we still go out and adventure. We left like an NPC behind to like just help run the place with the Dryad, because the Dryad can only go as far as the tree.
Right.
So she's essentially there all the time.
Nice.
So yeah, we start off day drinking, and it's a bottle of like the strongest alcohol in the world that they took off the pirate ship, and they couldn't read the label. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna cheer to our good health at the breakfast table. Everybody takes a swing. 2 of our neighbors are like knocked prone instantly. Just because they couldn't handle the tolerance. Just poison straight off the gate.
Booze, wait, so it was just poison? Or
it was just poison.
It wasn't even
it wasn't even like settled alcohol. It was just poison at that point. Think of someone just like chucking back a glass of Everclear and calling it a day.
So did they make? So it was booze. They just couldn't handle it at all.
Yeah, it didn't go well at all. They had to go to the med bay. It was bad.
Did they have to save for it, or was that? Just
yeah, they ended up having to save for it, but everyone succeeded. They got lucky.
Okay.
And yeah, we're like, so let's go out and adventure after nearly dying at breakfast. Why not? Let's just continue our day. What happened? And so like currently in the world, we're just mapping out what we see essentially. And we come across this one camp that's like kind of on fire, like after being pillaged. I'm not saying like full blown, like still oil and everything. And I'm trying to remember who started the fight, honestly.
Go on.
Because everybody in this campaign is kind of chaotic. We're all like hermits that have come out of the woodworks, and we're just like, we're just going to do whatever, because that's all we've ever known.
So you were out there, and someone, who were you kind of engaging with that you ended up fighting with?
The baddies that were still around. So like that were still there, like leftovers of the pillaging and whatnot. And we're like, hey, what you up to? You know, like, what are you doing?
So it wasn't necessarily your business. You just kind of saw them as like kind of scummy people. So you're like,
yeah, you know,
adventuring
stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
And walk outside. In this village, we end up getting a kid, like from the rescue. Like he's just there. So we're like this party of like chaotic people, and we stopped the baddies that were there, or not stop them, but like just kind of clean up the end crew.
Right.
And we end up finding a kid. We named this kid Jericho. We now
Jericho.
have a child in our campaign.
This is very,
We're just like, what do we do with this child?
This feels very The Hangover, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you like took care of these bad guys, and you're like, yeah, we're a bunch of chaotic guys, and they're like, wait a minute, where'd this baby come from?
Exactly. We're just like, what do we do with it? And we had full range on what to do with this child. Like, we could have killed it. We could have let it like die. Like, we could have whatever.
Yeah.
No, instead we take care of this child. We end up like, we're bringing it home. Great.
I feel like even in a certain character, it would be tough to be like, we're just gonna leave this child. That's a tough call to
like,
make,
how do you throw a kid into like, you know, like, yeah, we're gonna swing our axe? We can't.
Yeah,
we can no longer do that. And so what happened is that we bring Jericho home, and I end up having a private session with the DM where I'm on my own for a day.
Okay.
At the treehouse, and it's me and this kid, and I'm watching this kid doing my own thing, picking my berries, running my Morvis harvest, and like DM doesn't know how to fit this like plot into the main story. So he's like, the kid falls in a bush, you know, playing, and he gets up, and a second kid follows out of the bush. And, and
Wait,
I'm like, what?
What?
I have two kids now? Excuse me? So I'm here as a druid trying to nature check this fucking bush. I'm just like, what's wrong with the bush? And he's like, you know, I don't really know how to say it. Nothing's wrong with the bush. Your kid's just got a twin. And I'm like, great.
So he just threw you a twin? No reason before?
We don't know the reason yet. We just know that the kid came out looking exactly like the original kid.
I think this kid...
Except now I no longer know the difference between the two. I don't know which kid is the original and which one isn't. So it's not like I could get rid of the other kid and be like, it never happened. He's just like, no, it's a kid. I do an insight check. I do a perception check. Like, I'm literally
opening its mouth,
scanning this kid head to toe. And he's like, nope, it's just the normal kid that looks exactly like the first one.
It sounds like the first baby reproduces by budding, and I don't really know how to handle that. I don't... I keep an eye out. That kid might just be like, bloop, another one, bloop, another one. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, are there going to be more kids? How do I stop this? It's clearly not the bush.
Like, are you by like a local town or something, or not
no,
really?
we're at home. We're chilling at home. And like, this is just my first day babysitting, and I somehow get a second kid.
I would start looking around for a nice family that can conceive, and I would see if you can get them a foster home.
Just start giving away kids at the tavern.
Yeah, and this kid just keeps going. So like, maybe if other people just can't have kids, there's plenty of people. Some older folks maybe want to have kids. You know, maybe there's a a half elf and an Aarakocra that are in love, but they can't conceive because they're different all over, and they want a kid, and now's the time. Get rid of it. That's really funny though.
I wish.
Very cool.
But no, I ended up having to be responsible for this child.
Oh my God.
And I ended up putting colored bracelets on each of them just to pretend to know the difference.
That's smart.
I still don't know the difference.
Did you name them?
I did.
Did you?
So the first one's named Jericho, and the second one I named his name's Jerusalem. Because for some reason, we couldn't think of any actual names. We were just like, what's a holy place? Great, Jerusalem. And I was like, no, Jerusalem's too long of a name. Let's nickname him Jesus. So now we have Jesus in our campaign.
Okay.
We have Jericho and Jesus.
Jericho and Jesus. Very cool.
And we have another player named Cain. So we're getting really biblical up in this place.
Very biblical. The biblical party that's... Oh my God, it's actually like almost kind of religious because you don't even know who the parents are. It's just... This kid might be really important, actually. Maybe fostering this child isn't the best idea. It could be like crucial to the fate of humanity in this world.
Came out of the bush.
Very, very cool. Came out of the... Yeah. Oh, jeez. Was the bush on fire? No, it wasn't. You were a druid. You would have put that out. That's really, really funny. Very, Very entertaining
I would have put
stuff.
it out.
Yeah.
I tried lighting the bush on fire because I was so suspicious of it. I was just like, you're to blame.
Maybe,
Sure.
I don't know, you should try throwing some coins in there, see if you get more coins. I don't know. Very, very funny.
I actually have a rich dad in the basement, but we'll get to that.
Rich dad. Well, we're kind of almost out of time, so why don't you tell me about that
boy.
rich dad in the basement, and then we'll get out of here, because we're almost at like 45, 50 minutes. So tell me about that rich dad, and how'd you end up with a rich dad? So you're a Phoenix Druid with a rich dad. How'd you end up adopted, or is this your biological father?
He's technically my biological father,
Okay.
but distant father. And by distant father, I mean he's the father of my race.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Big Papa Phoenix, I got you.
Yeah, so he's just a big old sugar daddy to me right now because we're not close.
Right.
And he's just like, hey, we're a very rare species. We're
That's
like
what I
a
was
one
about
in
to
a
ask.
million
Yeah, that
kind of
makes
thing.
sense.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh my God, this is my first time ever seeing like the same race. Like, this is so weird. And I'm usually all disguised because like people are after me.
Right.
And he's just like, why are you hiding? There's no reason to hide. Who's after you? Don't worry, I'll beat him up. I got you. And it was just like, oh, well, I don't need that. But in his lair, there's just like, he's been alive since the beginning of the world.
Right.
So he just has collected treasure everywhere. Literally just piles of gold, weapons, just hanging out.
That's
and
hilarious.
Yeah, we like stumbled across this place because we were going through a cavern system.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, this guy comes out of nowhere and we're just like, oh, is this your treasure?
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, yeah, but we're related, so it's cool. And I was just like, we're related? I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And he reveals himself. I'm all dazzled. And I'm like, well, I could really use the money. and he like kicks me like a coin purse. And he's just like, here's $250 gold out the gate. And I'm like, thank you.
That's
many
amazing.
blessings.
And then you got to make him a room in the tree. So
yeah, well, I mean, his room is the entire cavern system in the basement, so it's fine.
Oh, so you built the tree on top of that cavern
right
system?
on top. I was just like,
that's
oh,
smart.
I'm home.
Oh,
so we got a central bank going, and nobody knows
your
that.
Big Daddy bank area over there. That's
yeah,
really
pretty
funny.
much.
That must come in handy if you need some fun toys and stuff. Oh,
yeah,
man.
we haven't gotten to like buying anything super expensive, but you know, I know
sugar
where he
daddy
is.
In my campaign, I'm struggling to buy a damn +1 sword, and you're over here dropping mad treasure. Well,
right, he's just hanging out.
That's wonderful. All right, cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun. You had really great stories. I loved hearing about all the home brewing, the battle royales. Like, definitely have put a new splash of style into this show, so it's been really fun. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let me just do a couple sign-offs here, and then we'll get you out of here. So once again, everyone, this has been You Had to Be There, a D&D storytelling podcast where RPG enthusiasts such as us, such as yourselves, can come on and share their really fun stories. If you want to be on the show, you just email me at youhadtobethere@gmail.com. That is D&D with those 3 letters. And please just follow us here on Twitch if you want to watch it live, or you can listen to the audio wherever you get your podcasts. And keep playing games, and I appreciate all the fun feedback and support that I've had so far on this show. So once again, this has been You Had to Be There, a D&D storytelling podcast with Bella Salas. Bye, everyone.
Bye.